Respond to that person.
All right, we're going to test.
Sure. Is it best to hold it, or can you put it on here? Okay. Hello? Can you still hear? Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. Whoever's waiting online, we're going to get going here in just a second. Oh, we still have the stuff up.
Another 5 people online, so.
All right.
And the rest are recorded clients, so.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and get going, so.
Very good. All right, we're going to go ahead and get going. My name is Laura Kinnard, and this is Leveraging LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about growing and leveraging your LinkedIn connections. And I think the last time I had the class last Monday, I kind of asked informally how many people have LinkedIn accounts. And I'll just ask that question again. LinkedIn? Okay, but you have an account.
Yeah.
So I find in the professional world that almost everyone has a LinkedIn account of some sort. They've either used it because someone invited them to connect at some point. They've used it for job searching, updating resume, and also now more recently, people have started to look at how can we use it from a marketing aspect for the company. The joke used to be that if you saw that one of your coworkers had updated their LinkedIn profile, then you'd be like, oh, they must be job searching. And that was the the tip off that maybe they're starting to want to look for something new. But that's definitely not the case anymore, and people are using it in a variety of ways. So we'll get into both from a personal brand and also from a company point of view, how you can leverage LinkedIn, and there's a lot to it that some people aren't familiar with. So we're going to do go out live and kind of look at the platform as well. So some general LinkedIn facts. It's the world's largest professional network. Is 313 plus million members in 200 plus countries and territories. And that number just keeps growing because there are professional people joining about every 2 seconds. So students are the fastest growing demographic. So 39 million students and recent college grads are on there and are, as soon as they are ready to get out into the professional world, graduating. So obviously it is a really good place to find young workers or students for internships and all that, and all those sorts of things with that demographic growing. Interestingly, they've lowered their age, and I talked about this last time because I always think that is so funny, that it's 13 years old that you can create a LinkedIn account. And I kept thinking, why does a 13-year-old want to have a LinkedIn account? But I was just at a young entrepreneurs convention, and there was a 14-year-old who had developed a business. Okay, yeah. And he was phenomenal. But if you look at sometimes at Shark Tank or some of those shows, you'll see there's a lot of very young, aspiring kids out there that are starting to become savvy about how can I network. And I think that young man actually was finding a way to call directly on some of the people right in the corporations, and a lot of that he was doing kind of by skirting the the gatekeeper and going sort of directly to the CEO profile. So because there are executives from all of the Fortune 500 companies, all have their company pages, and Corporate Talent Solutions are using it because 94 out of the Fortune 100 companies are also on there, and 1.5 million unique publishers that are clicking and sharing buttons and using the site. So it's very active, and this all comes from press.linkedin, so you can go there and kind of see how much the platform is changing and growing all the time. They keep a lot of good information just right on the site. So why is LinkedIn, why LinkedIn as a platform? And I don't know, do people have different reasons here why they think LinkedIn is important to them? I'm kind of curious. Anyone answer why they're on there? Go ahead.
I would say I think it's important because I think when marketing is
Okay, are you marketing business to business primarily? Okay, so for people that aren't in the room, one of the answers to that was most of the customers that you're trying to reach, you feel like have LinkedIn presence, and business to business is a key area where I recommend LinkedIn is a good platform. So, and then also, but you can also use it for your own personal success, and we'll get into some case studies with that a little bit. But we've had one person, a journalist, did a whole article, and he believes that it's the most powerful marketing tool in the 21st century. So we'll talk a little bit about why he thinks that, and why it's critical for business-to-business firms to have a LinkedIn company page. We'll also go over how businesses are using it and tour some of the features that you might not be familiar with, and also how LinkedIn can help you personally and some of the best practices. So that's what we'll try to cover in the hour today. And we'll do some questions. I try to allow a little bit more room this time so that we can have some questions throughout. So some of the marketing benefits, getting exposure, fostering strategic partnerships, finding and attracting potential clients. And this is the article that I was referring to is, and I'm going to get his name wrong, but it's Anthony, and he works in IT, and he works on his own now, freelance, and makes lots of connections through LinkedIn, and so he's a contributor to several different publications. And the article that he wrote, The Most Powerful Marketing Tool of the 21st Century, he specifically honed in on the fact that the media is there, that you can form partnerships with other companies and also find clients. So media exposure is really critical for raising brand awareness and positioning you as a brand in the market. So this was a contribution to Huffington Post, and he's pointing to the fact that 94% of journalists and editors are on LinkedIn. So I don't know how often being able to share a press release or getting a editor or a media to pick up a story or want to interview you for a story is, but a lot of times people will be on LinkedIn in order to build their own personal thought leadership, and it's really important to start making connections with press and being picked up to be interviewed or maybe get quotes for different articles in your industry. So it's a major way that journalists and editors are finding people that can contribute to articles today. 62% rate LinkedIn as one of their preferred professional networking tools. So in the case study here, over a period of 9 months, Alex built, and he's the founder of Linked Influencer, basically does a lot of training specifically on LinkedIn for corporations, and he built a network of over 250 contacts just in the media. So as a result, he was featured in over 50 media publications, including Forbes and Entrepreneur, and he regularly interviews for news stories So, and best of all, he's managed to achieve all this without sending out a single press release. So just by connecting with them, building those connections, sending out questions, in-mailing them, and making those contacts, and just publishing some of his own things online, then they're starting to come to him as a thought leader when they need a quote on something. So the other thing that he mentioned is being able to foster strategic partnerships. It's a powerful way to grow your business. With the right partner, you can refer clients to each other. How often do people do that, where they have another business that's not necessarily their particular target, but they will have some synergy with other companies that will refer clients? I know working with an architecture firm, we often will get interior designers, builders, and other people that are in the industry that will refer us back and forth to some of their clients for other projects. So it's huge to not only make those connections with potential customers, but to kind of align ourselves strategically with other types of companies and other connections that would be a good partner, and then we can refer work also back to them. So we really look for complementary products. We look for people in different organizations and associations, and try to seek out those sorts of connections on LinkedIn. The case study here, one of the Linkfluencer community members, the founder of Entrepreneur Card, managed to set up partnerships with over 30 leading companies and get featured in over 10 media publications, and attracted entrepreneurs to his launch party, all through the power of LinkedIn. So I've got links to some of these articles too, so you can kind of go through that article and see some of the statistics. But I think it's really huge to be able to reach now what would have required a PR firm to be able to connect you with some of the editors, and now you can make some of those direct connections. LinkedIn is also a powerful tool for finding clients. So LinkedIn allows us to find, connect, and build relationships with hundreds of potential clients, and this also comes from Alex, the founder of Linkfluencer. It's become easier to build a sales funnel of targeted leads to market to. So what this is really doing is removing some of that sort of cold calling. I know going to the LinkedIn social, didn't anyone go to that last week? So about quarterly, if you're connected with me, and I'll share that quite frequently, about every quarter we have LinkedIn social, and there's a group of 3 people that put that on every time, and they usually move it around. Actually, Christina Moffat was the sponsor for the last LinkedIn social, and she had it not in her cupcake store because we didn't have enough room because it's grown so large. So it was actually done at the fitness club that she belongs to. So they had big floor, and she brought the cupcakes there. It was really nice. It's really it's a social event, but it's still professional. So you can make connections, but at the same time it's laid back, and so it's not like a high pressure event necessarily, but it's about putting the faces to maybe people that you've made connections with in the community, being able to shake their hand and feel like you have a deeper connection with them. So one of the things that I always recommend is, if you have the opportunity to go out to different events that you find out about through LinkedIn, through other social networks, go to those. It's a great place to collect business cards. You can come back right away. That's my go-to, is I collect the business cards, come back, and immediately take those email addresses and start reaching out and adding people on LinkedIn. But the flip side of that too is I might not have seen anyone for a while, so it's really great to have a LinkedIn social where I go back out and I'll see someone say, oh, we've been connected for 2 years, but you had maybe not seen them physically for that period of time. And so it's just a great way to do online and offline, but stay connected in the meantime. You know, they do have a website that they put up. I think it's just linkedin social.com, but if you look at if you know Danny Beyer, and he has a book he has a book about networking, and he also does some speaking engagements around Des Moines and in Iowa and really all over now. Danny Beyer, and he and Mike, I think it's Bernaziak is how you say his name, and Angela Tenclay are the three that put that together. So if you just search for LinkedIn Social Des Moines and Danny Beyer, it'll pop up. And so we just did it, and so in about 3 months they'll do it again. And there's usually anywhere between 100 to 200 people that are all connected on LinkedIn in the area that'll come to that. So it does allow you to find and connect and build relationships with hundreds of potential clients. And I just really encourage people also to, if they go to any sort of event, it's funny because a lot of people think are business cards necessary anymore, but I get them all the time. And anytime I go to an event, I try to get people's business cards because the whole point is for me to go back and find them on the social networks. And with LinkedIn, you can't do that without an email address because it's permission based. So you can't just follow someone. And if you ask too many people that don't know who you are to connect with you, then and they reject you, then eventually LinkedIn will say, hey, you've been reaching out to a lot of people that you don't even know, and they consider you kind of spammy then. So what I always recommend is when you do go back, put the email address in, because that's one of the things it'll ask you is how do you know this person, and one of the ways you can prove that is you have their actual email address. And then when you make the connection, don't just hit connect. Make sure that you put a little personal note like, oh, I met you at the LinkedIn social. We were talking about this. I'd love to add you to my network. It does pre-populate a message, but it's canned. And so really bad practice to just, unless you told the person ahead of time, hey, I'm going to go home and link in with you, and they know it, and then you can just do that. But if it's more like someone that you just got their card, you might want to just remind them how they met you. And maybe even a little bit of what you talked about. So, case study here, using LinkedIn, Creel Price, CEO of Accelerate Global and a Linkfluencer community member, managed to generate more than 3,000 leads. And I wish I could read that. Can you guys read that? No. Less than so many days, apparently a very short time, to license his methodology to 17 coaches and generated $150,000 in revenue, all without spending, I think he spent less than $1,000 on any marketing or advertising. So to be able to get that much revenue with such a little spend, and pretty much because he connected with people on LinkedIn and got them signed up for his coaching sessions. But in particular, LinkedIn is very critical for business-to-business firms. How many people in here are selling business-to-business as opposed to business-to-consumers? You're business-to-business? Everyone else business-to-consumer? Okay, so you don't need this class. No, I'm kidding. But, no, so it's good for everyone. It's just a no-brainer when it's a professional network and everyone on there is on LinkedIn for professional reasons. So we know on Facebook, most people are there because of their friends and their family, and they may have business connections there, and a business can promote to consumers then, because that's the main reason why they're there, is they're more of a consumer base. Everyone on LinkedIn is there for professional reasons, which doesn't negate that they might be a good customer for you as a direct consumer, but for sure it's harder to connect with one business to another on Facebook because they are more focused, the businesses that are on there are more focused with connecting to their consumers rather than to another business. So it's just much more open on the LinkedIn network from B2B point of view. So, but when we talked about picking platforms, one of the things that you might do then is see how many people you know that are your customers, potential customers, and do some searching to see if they are in fact on LinkedIn. so that you know how much time you should spend there trying to target them. If in fact it might be better for you to be on Facebook then, if you know. So just kind of, I recommend everyone have a profile on there, because as an owner or a professional, the consumer can try to find out some information about you and whether you're legitimate and credible. But whether or not you spend a lot of time marketing to the consumer on there is another story, but definitely from a B2B point of view. So 94% of business-to-business marketers are using LinkedIn to distribute content. In other words, if your B2B company isn't using LinkedIn, you're among only 6% of the B2B companies that don't have a presence on LinkedIn. So that's why I say it's so critical from a B2B point of view. So there are 6 reasons why just going again to B2B, and a lot of this will apply also to business to consumer, but over 80% of all business-to-business leads generated on social media come from LinkedIn. So if, in terms of using social media platforms, your best opportunity to get leads from a B2B point of view is going to be on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn generates the highest visitor-to-lead conversion rate, more so 3 times higher than Twitter and higher than Facebook. So 65% of buyers consider it critical to check vendor references with colleagues, friends, acquaintances, so they can see. If you've been on LinkedIn, you know how it'll say how you're connected with somebody. So even if you're not directly, you might be able to see someone in your network that knows that person, and then you can reach out to them and say, hey, so I saw you did some personal training with so-and-so, you know, did you like them? And a lot of times people will check out a person that's maybe going to do mentoring or coaching, whether that's, you know, a personal trainer or maybe it's a financial coach. So you see that there's somebody in your network, especially when it's handling your money, for example, you're going to want to go and check some of those references with colleagues. So 49% of social buyers research vendors by looking at their LinkedIn profiles, and 44% have actually found potential vendors by looking at shared connections. So we always joke around in the world, everyone is supposed to have like 6 degrees of separation between themselves and anyone in the world. And in Des Moines, that's about like 3 degrees of separation. And 2? So I have maybe around 1,500 LinkedIn connections that I've built over time. Might be more than that now. I haven't looked, but it's amazing to me then once you have a network that's, you know, 1,000 or 1,500, almost anyone that I want to connect with, I'll have some 2nd or 3rd degree connection with them. So it's just, I find it really amazing how much that's illustrated when you look at LinkedIn, just how connected you really are with people. Now I'm looking at a lot of people more regionally. I'm not sure if I try to connect with someone in France, what that would be, but definitely regionally, he's probably right. It's probably like 2 degrees.
I have 250 connections, and I met a girl last week. It was the first time I met somebody I didn't have someone in common.
Really? Yeah, it's just amazing. So you can really use the power on LinkedIn of that network, and it sets it up that way so that you can ask for introductions from someone that you know. So if you don't want to just cold call them, if you will. So that, again, is the nice thing, is that you can always sort of find someone to have that warm introduction with or get a referral from. So how are businesses using LinkedIn then? And this is where I'm going to kind of take a tour here in a minute. I'm going to show you specifically BSB design and a little bit of how, and we're a B2B. I'll take a little step back for people. I forget not everyone was here last week, but I work full-time for BSB Design, which is an architecture firm in Des Moines. Headquartered in Des Moines. We don't do that much work here in Des Moines. Actually has 11 offices nationwide in most of the major cities that are, so we have Chicago, Washington, D.C. We've got offices in California, in Texas. So some of the major places where construction is going on, we have offices. And so the challenge for us is to be able to connect across the country with different professionals. Also, we do commercial multifamily apartments and residential with builders, though. So we typically don't work directly with a consumer who wants to build a house. We would work with a builder who's doing a variety of elevations in a community. So we're definitely B2B, and for us, it's the largest social media that we have the most people that we're connected with over Facebook. We get a lot more we have a lot more connections on LinkedIn. We get a lot more in terms of professional connections there. So we leverage that by using showcase pages. We do some paid tools for recruitment. So we use it in a variety of ways. Most people have been familiar with how they use it personally, professionally to connect, but they have different subscriptions where you can use it as a marketer. You can use it as a recruiter. They have two different tools, if it's sort of recruitment light and recruitment heavy. So if you were actually working in recruitment rather than an HR person, you might want something more powerful. So they have a lot of different channels that you can pay for in addition to the free. And depending on what is your main focus, you have a different set of tools that they set you up with then. And I think they have one specifically for people that are in a sales capacity as well. So it's a premium account, and then you would specify that that it's in terms of sales and business development. So, and then they just give you different sets of tools where you can reach people, like the ability to direct message people that you don't specifically know. For example, you would have so many of those a month you can do. So the case study with BSB's LinkedIn, and then I'll take you out there in a moment live, but is to integrate, we wanted to integrate with our website and our blog content. So that was a huge thing that we wanted to do. Was we built a brand new website a year ago, and it was important for us to start driving traffic to that. So that whole idea of you build it and they will come, of course, is not true. And we had a website for a long time, but it was really not up to par. So when I started working about 2 years ago with them, the first task at hand was to get the website brought current, more interactive, the ability to put blog posts on there, the ability to have more imagery and projects and things, which we had not been able to do before. So once we felt comfortable with where we were going to drive people, so we started building our social networks up, but we were really hesitant to push people to our website until we felt like it was something that we were proud of and wanted people to go to. And then once we did that, we wanted to make concerted effort to not only drive people there for the first time, but to keep them coming there. So we always take our blog content and post it on LinkedIn on a regular basis. We also reach out to all of our employees. Right now I do that through an email that says, you know, here's our blog articles that have come out. Here's some great places that, you know, you might want to publish under your own profile. So, you know, copy the link, and I kind of give them something they can just copy and paste and put on their LinkedIn, or they can go to our page and like it and share it, because that also helps our company with interaction engagement and helps get the post out to more people. So I kind of give them a variety of ways that they can sort of support our effort. Does your company have a pretty good LinkedIn presence now?
I don't even know. I think they have a page, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I never really go to that.
And you know, that's funny that you say that, because one of the questions that I got from one of our architects one time, probably just about a month or a couple months back, which prompted me to do these emails, is he said, you know, I know you're posting all this blog stuff all the time, but I'm not always seeing that on my feed. And he said, so what's the best way for me to see that so I can share it? And I said, by going to our page. Well,
That's inconvenient.
So when you're used to going and checking those things all the time as I am, it was not, it seemed funny that it wasn't intuitive that everyone else in the company isn't just like checking the LinkedIn page every day, right? And even though that is the best place that they could find it and share it from there, etc., it just isn't something that they were doing as a normal course of their day or their week. And so what I have done now is just simply send an email out that says, you know, weekly social share. And I will say, you know, here's what's going on our blog, and this is what we posted on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, so that wherever they are and wherever they want to connect and whatever platforms they're comfortable with, I'm giving them some easy ways that they can share it or at least be aware, you know, that it's there. And that is a good prompt for them to go, oh, you know, I'll have the link so they can go directly to the post and make it really easy. But you have to kind of get in the habit then of looking for that as an employee. And then the reason why we are constantly wanting to push stuff out both through our company page and through our employees, because they all have their own connections as well, is to just keep that traffic and keep reminding them. So it's kind of like if you were doing a radio spot and there's a certain amount of frequency that you need to have for someone to remember your company. So it's kind of the same thing. You want to just keep having those little reminders through social media by posting things, sharing things, etc. Even if it's not something that you wrote and is going to your blog, which is was one of our key goals, but still they are seeing the company's icon and logo, or they're seeing your name and coming up when you're liking things and you're sharing things. So it still becomes oh, look, so-and-so liked our, you know, post. I go out and like other people's content strategically that I want them to see me interacting with them. It reminds them that I'm interested, and it reminds them to go to my page as well. So another goal for us, and this was really important to set up our goals. It was important so that I could start saying, okay, if lead generation is one of our goals, how can I think about LinkedIn specifically in that way? What tools does LinkedIn have to offer? How can I leverage our business developers on LinkedIn for lead generation? The other thing is to establish authority and thought leadership and credibility. So we have 50 architects. Most of them have been doing architecture for quite a while. It's a 50-year-old legacy company. So they all have expertise in different areas like club design or residential housing or 55+ communities, and they are frequently called on to speak at International Builder Show, etc. So one of the things that we weren't doing very good at as a company was getting called on as experts to go and speak at events that however many people signed up for that event or came to that session at the Builder Show had the benefit of hearing that. But we had to go through and make a PowerPoint and do the speech and do all this work and sort of pull that all out of their brain. So it's like we should be sharing that in other places so that a bigger community than just the Builder Show is familiar with the expertise that our employees have to offer. And likewise, they get called on to be quoted in different magazine articles or talk about different projects. And we needed to start thinking about how to integrate those things. So if we're published here, and I wouldn't always know, so I had to start training people, okay, if you're published in an article, be sure to email it to me because I want to be able to share it. Or, hey, why did you share it on your own profile as well? Because people just didn't automatically think about, you know, if we're out in the community or we're published, we should also be sharing that on our social networks and on LinkedIn. So the other thing we wanted is search engine optimization. We wanted people that would be searching for us in particular, like Chicago area for an architect, for example, for a different project, or if we had projects that we have done and someone was searching to see, oh, who did that project, we wanted to make sure that our name was coming up on search. And one of the best ways to do that is to be publishing content all the time about projects that we've done, etc., because it will help bring us up in the search. And of course, then if they, and then hopefully they'll be going to our website as well. And it'll start bringing us up higher and higher hopefully onto the first page in the areas that we want to focus our business in, so Chicago, etc. We also wanted to have brand awareness and brand resonance. So there are some people that only thought of us as market housing architects. They didn't realize that we were doing commercial, we're doing multifamily apartment complexes. So for the people that maybe knew us for many years as housing home builders, single family home builders, we wanted to start having more awareness that we do other things, but we also wanted to resonate more deeply with people we've already worked with by continuing to show our credibility, to continue to make deeper connections with them, and so that they are likely not to want to, obviously we have to stand on our work as well, but we just want to make sure that we're always in that consideration set the next project that they have. We also wanted to use our LinkedIn as a way to have employee brand ambassadors. So we wanted it to be a platform that we knew most of our employees were on there. They don't necessarily want to connect with each other on Facebook because people kind of want to keep their personal and professional world separated, but it was a place where they could connect with each other professionally and feel good about that, and connect with our company so that they could be sharing different things that we're doing with their own connections. We also now, as the 19th fastest growing architecture firm, have a huge desire to be recruiting people around the country for everything from intern positions to project management, etc. And so we're definitely using it as a huge recruiting tool. And then finally, we wanted to just build community with other, like the American Institute of Architecture, and just more of be more engrossed in the architecture community itself. So all of this work on LinkedIn is sort of centered on creating content, sharing content, and using LinkedIn as a publishing tool for our good content that's going to keep people engaged in seeing us. So there's sort of an effect with, and this is content marketing then, and using LinkedIn as a publishing tool. There's an effect, you have social media integration, lead generation, lead nurturing, establishing authority, and SEO. All of these things, which many of those were on our top list of what we were trying to do goal-wise, kind of play hand in hand with each other. So one thing, integrating with social media, with your content on your blog, will help with lead generation. Will also help you nurture leads because you're able to connect more frequently with them on the social media platform. And also, particularly with LinkedIn being all professionals, you're able to establish authority. And again, it has that SEO effect. So it's just continues in that cycle. So integrate with our website and blog content, lead generation. So I'm just kind of reminding you of that list here, and you can see many of those goals already sort of have an impact one on the other in the cycle. So let's just take a look. I don't know if it's best to go through the link. We'll see what happens. Okay, no. I'm already logged in somewhere, so I'm going to take that down, and I'm going to do it a different way. There we go. I believe I should be logged in. Okay, so when you first go to LinkedIn and you log in, it's going to take you to your own professional page. So that's going to be, this is where it lands when you first log in. And how often are people logging into their account, or do they stay logged in? Do you have a phone app? Anyone using the phone app? Okay. That's interesting. Most of the people are accessing social media platforms on their mobile device now. And so it looks a lot different sometimes on your mobile device and navigating that. So I will tell you, as I'm taking this tour, you're going to find a different challenge when you're looking on your mobile device. So look for some of the same things. It's all there, but they have it organized a little bit differently. I wasn't sure how often people were doing that on LinkedIn, because a lot of people are at their office, you know, and they're doing it while they're working. So, but I think more and more people even on LinkedIn. So I actually get on most of the time because I'm working in social media. I'm usually doing it from the computer. But then when I leave the office, I'm sort of on call all the time. So then I have the apps, and in the evening, I'm probably accessing more on my mobile phone. But just so that we kind of understand first, when you log in, what you're seeing here, you'll be able to you'll get messages from time to time that give you, it's kind of nice they do this, it'll give you tips on how you can improve your profile. So if you haven't filled it out all together, they'll be you know, telling you all the time, add this, add that, you know. They're trying to help you optimize for search. It's a little annoying, but at the same time, it's kind of nice that they're sort of telling you ways that you can keep incrementally adding a little bit more to make your profile better. And then it's giving you a little snapshot of what people have viewed, how many people have viewed your profile, and how many people have viewed different things that you've shared. So one of the ways that you can also get more insight is to have a premium account. And it's more costly if it's a corporate premium account, but as an individual, if you want to upgrade, I want to say it's $20 a month, something like that. What it's going to give you is the opportunity to see more people actually who's been looking at your profile, so it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you will notice that people will look at your profile incognito, so there's a way that you can do that so that they don't see who it is that has looked. When you're job searching, that's kind of good, because if you put in your application and then there's some person in the company that you see looked at your profile, you're like, oh, they've seen my application, they're considering me. You know, it gives you some cues, but also can give you some cues from a business and lead development point of view by being able to look and see, you know, maybe you put an RFP out, maybe you've had a connection recently, and then when you see that people from that company, one or more people, then you kind of know that they're at least thinking about you. So I look at that pretty frequently. There's a difference between sharing an update and publishing a post. So sharing an update is a quick, you might be sharing a link to an article, might be sharing a photo with a message. Publishing a post is like your own personal blog, okay? Has anyone actually published a post as opposed to sharing an update? Okay. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click on my profile, and also you could update your picture more often. So mine doesn't look very current, so you might want to you know, occasionally do that. But do you see here? I've got some posts. Those are staying attached to my profile. So unlike a update that, you know, just you make an update and people can look at your most recent activity and they can, you know, see what you did most recently, these will actually stay with you. So a person can come here then and see the articles that I've published. So they're all mostly on social media, but if you were publishing some expertise from your industry, number one, those get shared out. It gives a person an opportunity to come and read more. You could even push it back to your, you know, your blog or your website for your company, but it's always going to stay attached to your profile. And they're very easy to do. It walks you through it. And we have about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to actually go back to the PowerPoint a little bit, but then we'll kind of try to come back to that so I can show you the mechanics of the posts, since it sounds like a lot of people aren't familiar with that. No problem. So here, but before we go, I do want to also say this is where you can see the posts and also my most recent activity. So if you want to go to someone's profile, you can see kind of what they've been sharing, and it's, you know, showing a lot, 78 things that I've done most recently. So, but these will always be attached. So you can edit your profile when you're logged in. You can look at who's viewed your profile, although it usually only tell you 1 or 2 people unless you have a premium account. More like it'll tell you, if you look here, who generally has been viewing. So it's telling me one specific person, and then it's giving me some other prompts, maybe other things I might want to follow. So it's prompting me to do some things, but mostly it's giving me some general ideas of which industry, 7 viewers from the nonprofit board, etc. So it's kind of giving you that idea, maybe not the specific person. And then you can also look at your updates, so you can look at your own updates and see what things have you shared most recently and how people have interacted with those, who's made comments on them, etc. So here is where you're going to keep track of your network. This is where you can add a contact. You can find people that you may know. You can find alum that are from your colleges that you've attended. And also, you can look at the people that you're connected with already. So I think this is really important that people go out here periodically and look at that, because it's giving you some prompts about them. You know, tell them happy birthday. It's giving you reasons to reach out to them. And also it's going to show you who have you recently added, so that you can maybe make sure that you can connect with them again, maybe after you added them. And it will show you who are people that you have had the most recent contact with. So recently added, and then and so I think that that's a great way that you can also go through. And when you go into a particular profile, a lot of this is how much do you want to use it to keep track of people, but you can actually write in here a little dialogue about how did I meet them, where did I meet them, and so you can fill that out more and always go back to them and have a sense of how did you make that connection with them.
Set reminders too.
Huh?
I think you can set reminders too.
Yes, yeah. So one of the things that people don't do is they don't go to those connections, fill those out, set reminders, be able to, you can almost use it like your own mini version of Salesforce if your company doesn't have a tool like that. So then obviously this is jobs, and then these are interests. So these would be companies that you've gone through and liked. I always tell people, if it's a company that would be a good, you could get referrals from, or that are similar, go through, make a list, find those companies and like their pages so that they're showing up in your feed. But go to those companies specifically and just look at their pages. Also join groups. You can join up to 50 groups. And you're not going to be able to be super active in 50 groups. I've hit the wall on 50, but I definitely am not interactive with all those groups all the time. But I have a handful that I try to stay very interactive with. So I'll go to those specific groups. I'll make sure that I'm commenting on things, sharing things, interacting with people. And you might also look and see which groups have the most activity, because I will delete groups eventually when I notice that, yeah, nobody's really doing anything in them. So that's a great way too, that meet people that you would like to connect with, and since you're in a group with them, you can say eventually, when you've interacted a little bit, you can say, hey, I'd like to make a personal connection with you, and you'll have that, the fact that you were in a group together. Pulse is where you can find content to share. So these are all topics that I have at some point said that I'm interested in, or I've followed an influencer. So maybe it's Ariana Huffington, for example, or someone like that, where you can follow them. You're not connected with them, but you can follow them and get their posts. And so here, when you click on here, it's going to give you the opportunity then to look at top posts, but also to select certain categories of content that you're interested in. And then I go to my news feed, and that's where I start sharing marketing stuff from there. That's where I'll get a lot of third-party content. And also SlideShare is owned by LinkedIn. So I upload a lot of my presentations that I'm comfortable with the whole world having onto SlideShare, and there's a connection. You can actually log into SlideShare through LinkedIn, and a lot of people don't know that. And you can also get a lot of connection between people that are on LinkedIn and on SlideShare both. So then this is something specifically for people that you can get more deep into an education if you're trying to recruit people for college. So, but also they have a whole learning resource. They own Lynda also, which is an online community where you can pay for courses. So that's just another thing that people don't know, that lynda.com is owned by LinkedIn as well. So that's also a place where you can start contributing content and maybe become a teacher in your expertise area on Lynda. I'm not sure of all the steps to go through to do that, but I started to look at that as a possibility for educating. So going back to, uh-oh, that was not the right view. It's hard to go back between online and offline. So I will show you a little bit more about our company page, but let's go on a little bit and just finish off with personal benefits, since we're kind of talking about our personal accounts. The key to any personal branding campaign is word of mouth marketing, your network, your friends, your colleagues. So remember that really any social media platform, at LinkedIn, is about word of mouth. It's just a more powerful way to enable people to be able to share you and refer you than we used to be able to do. If you'd have to go to every networking event, and that was the only way that you could really connect with people. So now we have the opportunity to have a greater way that we can share word of mouth and ask people to go and do recommendations and referrals, and they'll write those, and those will be right part of your profile. So it's great for thought leadership. I already talked a little bit about, you know, publishing articles that we've been in. If we are speaking at an event, make sure that you're posting that. I also have people take the exact same article that they may have been published in a magazine and create a post with that under their profile. So that, I mean, they're the ones that gave the information anyway. It might as well be their own blog post. And if I write a blog post at the company, I will likewise tell them they should go ahead and make that blog post under their social media profile, so it'll stay with them as the author as well. So you can validate your expertise in many different ways. I'm giving you some resources here and learning a little bit more about how you can have your own personal exposure. But these are some of the ways that will benefit your own personal brand as a salesperson, as an architect in your field, for example. Some of the best things to do on LinkedIn then. First of all, optimize your profile. We talked about that. Make status updates about once a day. Connect after meeting in person. Connect with your coworkers. Ask for network referrals. Find existing contacts through email. Okay, so you can go through and have it upload. When it says when you're looking for people to connect with, it also gives you the ability to upload your own email connections and see if they're on there. Now, it will also then say if there's people it finds that aren't on LinkedIn through that email, do you want to send them an invite? Do not do that. So say skip it, because what will happen is LinkedIn will keep sending them a message over and over and over again, inviting them to join the LinkedIn network, and it won't stop, and it'll be really, and then your friend will say, why do you keep sending me these messages? And maybe they're already on there using a different email, for example. So I just, you know, if they're not already on there through there, just reach out to them personally and ask them to connect with you. Don't do the mass. I made that mistake early on and I regret it. So follow companies. So find companies that you'd like to be following, connect with. Join and engage in groups. Publish, which is the different thing than the status update. Actually publish a blog, if you will. And use InMail, which means that you will have to pay to do premium, but if you're trying to reach out to people that you're not connected with and maybe invite them to an event or whatever, then upgrading and being able to use InMail is a great way to reach out to people that you're not connected with. Here are some facts about how much more reach you get with your personal profile when you take the time to fill out your profile more completely. So if you don't have a profile picture, people that have that have 14 times more views than if you did never do that. And adding your industry could get you 15 times more profile views. So it's all based on a search algorithm, and the more that you actually fill out your profile, the more opportunity you'll have for your name to come up as someone that they'll view your profile. So ideas for daily status updates said, okay, make a status update every day. And then you're like, great, what am I doing? I don't know what to do there. So share a title link to your company's recent blog. Share the URL to a blog that you've recently read that you liked. So, and then put a little commentary with it about why did you like it and what did you get out of it. Share newsworthy industry postings from your industry, maybe some knowledge that you'd want people to know from maybe a trade publication you read that they maybe don't read all the time. Maybe a great quote of the day. So I go to Forbes.com, find a website that has some quotes that you like. I was trying to think, there's one that actually does quotes on all different subjects, but you can just Google search quote websites and you can find fun stuff from, you know, Steve Jobs or whoever. Or find someone that you like as a mentor and that publishes as a blogger and post some of their stuff. A brief piece of advice relevant to your area of specialty. A link to a YouTube video that you've watched. I like to share TEDx events, for example, all the time. Request to connect with you on Twitter. So you could actually put in your LinkedIn profile, hey, I'm also on Twitter. If you're on there too, you should follow me. That can be an update that you just do every so often so that people know they can follow you and connect with you in other places. An important announcement about your company, articles you're quoted in, recent results and key activities, maybe of some work. So if you've had a project or you had a success story or someone complimented something, those are all great things to share, or maybe you had a testimonial from someone. So I have some best practices about using groups. We won't be able to get into that too deeply, but I have the resource here so you can actually download that white paper on that. So if you want to do more with LinkedIn groups. And this actually gives you all of the steps on how you can publish a blog post on the page. So I know we didn't get to actually go back to that and look through it, but that'll give you, and just remember when you're posting, think about honing in on what the people you're trying to connect with would be interested in. So just think about what their interests are and make sure that you remember that you're writing for them. And this is just an idea about personas and how deeply you can think about what their interests are. You might even do an exercise where you map out, you know, what does each one of those potential customer types look like. This gives some information on some of the upgraded, like for $40 a month, you can get the 15 in-mails. And you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Please do that. Okay, perfect. I will accept it. How many? 15. I'm surprised it isn't more, actually. But also, if you go to this link right here, it is case sensitive. So capital Spear _ LinkedIn with a capital I. That will give you all of my resources. So everything that I've used to develop this course, all the downloads, all the white papers, and I keep adding stuff all the time. If something happens and changes on LinkedIn, that's where I'll post it. And then also BSB Design, and I know we are past time now, so I'm going to just go ahead and bring this up really quickly as an overview. But go ahead and take a look at kind of what we've done there. one of the things that you can do is you can create showcase pages. So if you are the administrator on your business account, you can create specific showcases for different, in this case, we did our studios, but it could be a particular product maybe that you sell. And so take a look at some of what I'm doing there. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. And of course, this is, if you're an administrator, you'll be able to look at the analytics of some of the things that your company is posting to get an idea about engagement, etc. So, all right, thank you very much.
Yep. So everybody listening in, I will post this. I will send out the Dropbox link, so it will have any. It actually will have a PDF of the PowerPoint, so the things that she demonstrated today will be in there, and I should have that out this afternoon. If you signed up for our first class, the link is still active from last week if there's anything you need to review from the first class. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you back here on next Monday.